Hello and welcome to Accelerated F&I Manager Pay Plan with Forma tutorial. Let's begin by opening the program. Simply double-click your file, and by default the program is designed to always open at the home page. Click anywhere in between the orange shaded rectangle and a password box will appear. Type in EDS. This password is case sensitive, use only capital letters, and this password may not be changed. The program is designed to always open initially to the Closure tab. This is where we're going to set up our criteria to help establish the parameters of our performance-based pay plan. Let's begin by setting up the new vehicle side, and we'll use, in this example, 100 units, and say that the finance penetration on average is 45%, and the lease penetration is 20%, and the average reserve is $385. Now, depending on how your DMS system calculates, you have to determine if the $385 is predicated on both finance and lease units or only finance. In this example, we have only finance. However, if you did hit the drop down and changed it, your reserve income would increase due to the fact that the $385 would be multiplied by 65 total units. We're going to go back and say no. The next question is, does GAAP percentage include both finance and lease units? For example, some lessors do not include GAAP in their contracts, which means it's an opportunity for the business manager. In this example, we're going to say no. The GAAP penetration objective that we're going to set is only predicated on finance units. So let's set up some stretch goals. This is going to determine the outer parameters of the pay plan. One of the reasons why it's so effective is we're not guessing at the outside parameters. We're going to have them mathematically calculated. So let's begin. Vehicle protection plan, let's say the objective is 40%. Keep in mind that any area with the light yellow background is 100% editable. You are going to fill in what is appropriate for your environment. Let's say prepaid maintenance is 20%, gap protection 40, tire and wheel protection 15, etch protection 10, paint fabric protection 15, paintless dent repair 10%, excess wear and tear, which is only on lease deals, 20%. We took the liberty of already including an additional product. We'll define it as low jack in this example, make the objective 29%. You have the ability to add up to 4 additional products if you do not see them defined in what is hard-coded. Next, we need to set up our margins of profit. On average, what do we expect? Let's say $1,000 for service contracts, $300 for prepaid maintenance, $700 for gap, and to keep it easy for illustration purposes, we're just going to make the other remaining products all at even $300. So now we've defined the parameters for the new. However, the pay plan is predicated on the blended of both new and used. It's going to automatically calculate that. This is just an opportunity to drill down deeper and get these objectives real tight. So let's do that. Let's fill in the used, and let's say that it's a one-to-one store, and we're going to do 100 pre-owned as well. And the finance penetration is 60%. We're not doing any leasing, and the reserve average is $400. Let's set our vehicle protection objective at 60%, prepaid maintenance at 10, gap protection of 48. Again, that's only on finance units. Tire wheel protection at 10, and so forth. And again, to keep the illustration simple, we're just going to follow suit with the margins of profit. As a matter of fact, we're just going to click that arrow, and that'll carry that over. So now what we've done by drilling down on both the new and the used objective and goal setting, we've come up with the blended objectives. We're highlighting 2 key objectives here in the center, which is our PVR of $1,100 a car and 150% product penetration. These are 2 important metrics as they are defining the outside parameters of the grid. So now we're going to move over to the right side of the setup portion and tailor this and make it specific for our needs. So over here we have to say what is going to be the spread for the PVR? We have some default spreads set up at 49, 74, and 99. Let's look at 49. You can see that it's a very tight spread going down, that anything below $1,000 PVR would be basically unsatisfactory performance. Let's look at 74. So the range now is 950 to 1100 and 99. Keep in mind, those are default numbers. You can put in any spread you like. For this illustration, we're going to keep it at $99. And basically the message we're sending to our team is that if you're below $900 a car, you're underperforming. Next, we need to determine our product penetration spread. We've got two default spreads here. If we go 9%, you can see basically the message is if you're below 120%, you're underperforming. We're going to keep it at the 9% spread. So now we need to define what additional products do we want to weight heavier and put a little extra weight on. So we're going to choose, in this example, service contracts. It knows what the blended objective was of 50%, and it's going to pull it over. We've got the ability in both bonus product categories to blend two bonus products. In the first bonus product, we're going to keep it at one product. But in the second bonus, we're going to actually blend two. Let's just blend the two non-cancelable products, and we'll say etch, and let's do the low jack. So now what we have here is a blended objective of 30%. And basically what that means is that any penetration of the two products, providing that the two blended percentages meet or exceed the 30%, that's how they would achieve that second bonus product. It's very effective. So what's the maximum percentage payout on the grid? Well, again, that's going to be up to you, but for illustration purposes, we're going to make this pay plan max out at 18%. So let's make the grid at 15%. And what's going to be the range of decrease as the PVR and the product penetration decline? As you can see, we have some defaults. You can see the effect of a 1/4 point. The range is pretty tight. If we look at a 1/2 point, the range is between 11.5 and 15, a 3.5% spread. We can go all the way up to a point. It's pretty aggressive. That's a 7-point spread. For this demonstration, we're going to keep it at a 1/2 point. That's going to be the range. So truly, we are demonstrating the merits of a performance-based matrix pay plan. So we've defined the PVR objectives, the product penetration, and the percentage that you can earn on net F&I on an individual basis, up to 15%. But remember, we said we're going to max this pay plan out at 18%. So we're going to add a little additional weight on these bonus products. You can see that it's pulling over. Each bonus product category is going to have 2 levels. We're going to give them a taste and say that you have a 5-point spread and you're going to get a taste at 45%. And we'll just keep it simple in this presentation. Again, the whole concept of this is you are in 100% control to tailor this to accommodate whatever your objectives and goals are. So by achieving 45% of service contract objective, in this example, we're going to say you can earn another 1/2 point. Keep in mind these percentages are cumulative, added to whatever they earn in the grid. And if they max it out at 50% or greater, we're going to give them another point. So they have the ability, if they focus on service contracts, to earn another 1.5%. For the 2 blended products, let's do the same weight. Again, you don't have to, just illustration. So there we have a total of 3 points if we put additional focus on these bonus products, which equates to a total of 15%. Well, let's test that and see how this pays out, and by looking at our pro forma. So let's say in this example there's 3 F&I managers and the store is running about 5% chargeback penetration, and there's no additional income and there's no director. So in that case, remember we said we would max out at 18%. It's showing you maximum compensation It's showing what each F&I manager on average would earn if they all maxed it out, which would be 12.5 in this example. But more realistic on an annualized basis would be the average compensation. If we did a good job of setting our objectives, they're not going to hit it every month. On an annualized basis, you should be somewhere in the middle of the grid and an assumption that we're going to hit the first level of each bonus product category. So based on that, we're paying out about 14.5%, and the earnings are about 91.83 on average. The minimum compensation makes the assumption that no bonus product categories are achieved, and they're at the lowest level of the grid. Your comp would go down to 11.5%, and so would the earnings, but so would your overall profit. You drop down to 179,000 or 170 net versus 189 versus 208. So obviously the goal is maximize the product penetration in PVR so that the end result is we can make more money for the dealership, but also our people make more money. Now, what happens if we have a director? This pay plan has proven to be very effective on a national level in more than 100 dealerships, that if you keep the director on the same type of matrix, they have a vested interest in the performance of the individual riders or closers. So let's set them up a little bit. And let's say that in this example, that they're going to be at 4% in their grid. Now keep in mind, they're going to be paid departmentally, so their percentage of payout is obviously considerably less. Now we have our same ranges here, but we're going to go a moderate range, and you could even do less or more, but we're going to show you a range of only 0.1%. Typically, a lot of directors are paid on some type of flat with maybe a bonus scale here or there. So this is going to be a little bit of a paradigm shift for a lot of directors, but it's highly effective and it's worth it. Now, you can see that the bonus product categories are already filled in. So we have to determine the payout. Typically, most directors aren't in control of the selling of products. So we're just going to make them a little more moderate here and make each bonus level the same. Again, you'll decide what is right for your dealership. All the language here is editable. There are some drop downs where you can choose some default language, but you could type in whatever you want. Also keep in mind that we're not writing a pay plan. This is merely a tool for you to help you design the proper pay plan that you would give to your controller or office manager or whoever's responsible for writing the language out. And this would be a great guide for them to take this information and transpose it into your actual pay plan. Now let's take a look at the results here. So we have an F&I director, and let's assume there's no other income, that's maxing out at 5%. But wait a minute. Now our three F&I closers at 18% is paying out potentially 23%. Maybe that's too high for you. So let's go back and do some adjusting. Now remember before we had maxed out the closers at 18%. So in this example, let's say we identify with the fact that having a director is going to increase our comps somewhat. Let's max this pay plan out at 20% in this example. So we have some adjusting to do. So let's go back and change a few of the percentages. Let's lower this from 15 to 13%. Now let's keep everything else the same, but let's lower the bonus product payouts. And we'll make it a 1/4 point and then 3/4 of a point. And we'll do the same for your second bonus products, which blends the etch and the low jack. Let's take a look at the performer now. So there you go. We have a maximum percentage of net F&I of 20%. You can see the earning range, pretty comparable here, of what the director can earn and an individual rider. Let's scroll down. So you can see here on the average compensation, as a dealership would be paying out 16.2%. The director would out-earn, on average, the individual rider, and we can see that the minimum compensation falls in at 12.8%. So the 12.8%, whatever you set your grid at, cannot change, nor can the maximum compensation as it relates to percentage in F&I. This is a variable though. We're doing the assumption again that it's predicated on the middle of the grid and only one bonus level per category. If you don't feel that this range is appropriate, for example, you want your director to earn more, but you don't want to pay out more than 20%, you go back and you do your adjustments till you get the right balance that's right for your dealership. Now we do have one other type of pay plan that's involved in this. Let's go back and delete the director information. And this is predicated on the concept that maybe we want to have F&I closers paid departmentally, but you don't have to pay them on their departmental performance. You would pay them departmentally, but on their own individual performance. So we would check off this box. So what it says is check box if F&I closers are paid departmentally. So that means each closer in this example, obviously we need to adjust, but would have the opportunity to earn up to 15%. Well, 15 times 3 closers is 45%. So we would need to do some adjustments, but it's a hybrid concept between an individual payout and a pure departmental. And you would go back to the grid and you would start adjusting and perhaps make this 5%, and maybe we would make the spread a little bit less, and maybe we just make this a half point. And again, you'll have to, through a little trial and error, keep reverting back to the pro forma in the departmental scenario. Now in this example, we've created a 19.5% payout. It's not for everybody, but it's built into the program. So the program has 3 different pay plan scenarios built into it. You got a purely individual, a purely departmental. You can do the director with the individual, or you can do the closers that are paid departmental but based on individual performance. There is not a program out there that will accommodate all these pay plan scenarios. So this concludes our Accelerated Pay Plan with pro forma tutorial. Simply put, there is not a more effective F&I pay plan available that will drive performance, maximize PVR, product penetration, and it also places the right amount of emphasis on the products most important to you. Please visit our website for more pricing and additional product information. Thank you.